Yo, what's going on, guys? Hope everybody had a great weekend. Good morning now. It's January 14th, ready to get into the new market week. I wanted to give a quick game plan here before we get started. I spoke to my members about this and most of you guys about this over the weekend. I'm looking for this bottom here to be a rejection point off this V-shaped bottom real quick. So this bottom wick here is 259.60, and then this over here is 258.60. This is from the breakdown previously, and we also retested it and then rejected it after selling off further. So what we're looking at here is we're starting to stall out right around resistance, and if you go into like the 10-day or 5-day chart, almost like a somewhat of a triple top, um, right at our resistance areas. So it's something interesting for me to look at now as we get a bit overextended in our MACD. Um, the only issue with that is that our weekly chart is still oversold, but we're still in a clear downtrend. And what's interesting today, if you look at our EMAs, you want to go to the 5-minute chart, we're going to be opening at around 257, and it's going to be below this key EMA here, which is the 8 EMA, key short-term EMA. So what I'm thinking is possibly if we can come up here and reject these areas and push lower, that might give us a chance to get a lower high on this MACD, and we might see a little bit of a pullback. I think we definitely test some of these lower supports before maybe breaking out of this. As you can see, the 30-minute MACDs are already going green. I mean, we'll have to see what happens in the morning. Um, but I'm gonna be a bit patient. I have a few puts from over the weekend just because we stalled up at our range again. Um, so I'm gonna be interested to see if this can push into Friday's session and then look to stall. We are still rejecting Friday's lows pre-market. Um, I'll send out our detailed support resistance in chat. As you can see, we have a whole fucking mess of them. It just looks like a mess, but it's a great roadmap to have when you're intraday trading. Let me tell you. Um, with that being said, if we do come up and reject, I have one other setup across for a swing trade possibly that I was looking at. I'm gonna go over to Intel. I'll pull up the daily chart and pushing into resistances here. We have one at 48.60 and then one at 49.25. So, as you can see where those lines are placed, they both affected, price action pretty heavily. A few of them came from gaps, bottoms, previous tops, whatever the case may be. They are pretty heavily affected when it comes to the price. So I'm looking for the same thing here. As our major indexes, we'll go over to the NASDAQ, most of them are pushing into this bottom again. A lot of them are pushing into this bottom or, somewhat testing it again. And we're looking to start, we're starting to get a little bit overextended on the MACD. Volume was really low on that bounce. And it's just showing me that, and I guess I can't find the Dow. I don't know what the Dow is on here. For me, I'm looking for some sort of rejection or even a pullback, because if you can capture a pullback, even back to like this 50% line at about 250, which would be pretty huge, you could capture a real nice move. So you want to go over to Intel, and it's pushing into key resistance. But also, what I wanted to note to you guys is that what I don't have on here, but the 50-day moving average is right here at this resistance line. If you go to stockcharts.com, it's sitting right at about 49.25, 50-day moving average, which will act as resistance because we're below it. So that's another key factor for me looking at this setup, especially considering the fact that we could possibly capture a pullback back it down into these levels, even capture a point or two. Um, the options are cheap. Actually, these are the SPY options. The options are cheap for Intel. You have a little bit of room to work with. The spreads aren't crazy. It's just something to keep in mind. Definitely an interesting setup. It's a bit choppy over in this area, but even if you capture one or two candles, one or two swing trade days, you could capture a big move in terms of options trading. So right now we're pushing against that 4860 resistance. I want to wait and confirm on another time frame. As you can see, our EMAs will support this. We are a bit oversold in the 30 minutes, so I want to see what this does today. I also will wait and see what the SPY does. Um, on the hourly, we have a reversing MACD, but we also have a lot of resistance areas we have to clear in our EMAs. Um, it's going to be an interesting day, an interesting week. So I think the best we could do is just sit and be patient and look for rejections or breakdowns of our supports. I wouldn't necessarily look to go long, me personally, until we break out of this, um, on the upside, or even come back to test this triple top range. Um, that's simply because I don't like playing near resistance and I don't like playing oversold indicators. So I'd look for the pullback to enter on support. With that being said, let's kill it this week. I hope we all do, what we're planning on doing. Sticking to your game plan is always very important, especially when trying to find consistency throughout the market. So, if you guys have any questions, hit me up. Feel free. Later, boys.